What's the selection today for the music?
We got the lo-fi.
Lo-fi beats.
Okay,
We
maybe
stopped
next
walking
week
dogs.
we'll have a legit intro video.
I don't know if I even want to do it anymore. It's kind of our thing now.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how we feel about it.
Got a surprise for everybody. You've already seen it.
Oh, you do? Yeah. I was like, wait, what?
Got all the regular gaggle of folks in the chat. This is looking good.
Hey guys.
What is up?
What's up, past politics? Anthony.
Got Sophie in here. Ren, HTX. He dropped something in Twitter
Donella
today that made me crack up, I think. I can't remember.
Richard. We got Indiana.
Hello, newbie. Loretta Enigma.
Such a good word.
Enigma?
Enigma. Yeah.
That's a good word. And here we go.
Oh.
Hello. Hello, all. How nice to be back. I'm still sad. We're missing Kay. I miss Kay.
Same. She will be back next week.
Well, just so everybody knows, we talked to her today, and she's doing well. She's looking forward to coming back next week and joining us again. We could use her energy today.
Misses you all. Yeah.
It's going to be very... You know what? I was about to say it's going to be a very mellow and relaxed stream today, but our guest, he brings the energy, man. Sam gets me fired up.
True. These are facts.
So
the two of us will make one person.
Yeah, Sam will be the shot of Sam's going to be the shot of adrenaline that we need. I'm excited about this today. Have you been following all this stuff lately?
A little bit.
And the stuff that he's been dropping on Gobekli Tepe, I was there, I don't know, 8 months ago, 9 months. It feels like it's so long ago, but it was like March, I think, 25. And what a shitstorm the last year has been from that trip. I mean,
yeah, that caused a bit of an issue.
Did it? It did. Dude, Sam's already in the comments, bro. Still play Flint Double. This is great. This is gonna be good. Yeah, this is what we needed. Yeah, Gobekli Tepe has just been all over this past year, right? And
yeah,
riling up the whole archaeological community. It's been funny watching them come after everybody, and then just watching a lot of them getting taken down. And Sam's been a huge part of that.
Yeah, so should you give a briefing for people that don't know the tea? I feel like most people do, but if there's a couple people that don't.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just bring them in. Let's get right to it. I think that's what everybody's waiting in. Let's bring in our guest, Sam. Let's skip all the rest and get straight into it, because this is good. Good stuff. Let's give everybody what they're waiting for. There he is, man, the man of the hour.
Yeah.
Sam, Illegitimate Scholar. Dude, thank you so much for coming on with us today, man. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like I just hung out
kitty
the other day or something.
Yeah, it was like a couple of weeks ago. I'm still in Texas. That's why I'm not in my normal studio.
Oh, you haven't even made it back.
No, I've just been hanging out here with my best friend, but
nice.
Yeah, and I got a kitten here.
Did show that. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I didn't know that you meant kitten.
No, like she's 4 weeks old.
Tiny baby.
She was abandoned. I had to learn how to take care of a little baby kitten. Yeah, I spent $400 at the vet taking up a lot of my time. I was just getting back into doing work because I've been on a bit of a hiatus. I see Sahara Cosmos in the comments. I owe her something that has been weighing heavily on me. I also owe other people stuff. But regardless, I've gotten into the Gobekli Tepe stuff, and there's. Do you want to talk about the background of it?
Yeah, let's give everybody a background and like kind of a history of what's been going on the site and what's been going on leading up to the last year of where a lot of the controversies really started kicking off.
Yeah, so it is a absolute mess at Gobekli Tepe. From what I've seen, it's been going on for decades. There was this guy, German guy for the German Archaeological Institute, which is often abbreviated as DAI, as in Deutsches Archäologisch is German. I don't care. I'm American. DAI is the German Archaeological Institute. Some common Twitter people like Jens Nostroff, who I've never said anything about that guy, and he accused me of dishonesty, which look, Jens, I'm not going to hit you back on that if you see this, but like you don't say that, man. You don't question my integrity. And then if I respond to you, you're going to blame me. But regardless, Jens Nostroff, like Lee Clare, they work for the DAI, the German Archaeological Institute, and they're the ones who have been excavating mostly Gobekli Tepe since 1995, when excavations started under, I really should remember the guy's name. Do you remember it?
Klaus Schmidt.
Yeah, that guy, that name. So Lee Clare is now the late Klaus Schmidt, unfortunately, rest in peace. But Lee Clare has been heading the research project here. So one of the things to know is that there are lots of moving parts, lots of different groups here. Jimmy Corsetti's talked about some of them with the Dogus group, who's taken over some funding. There's some information in that I found that implied that the DAI was going to be stepping away from being in charge of excavations. That's in one of the UNESCO documents. And they were talking about that happening in 2021, but apparently that has not happened as far as I know. Maybe they got a new deal, but they have that hasn't happened. So there's lots of different groups here. It's very confusing who is in charge of what, but the site is a 12,000-year-old site that has been about 5% excavated per their estimation. Someone might have a problem with that, but that is about what they're at. And there are these T-pillars, which have important iconography on them that a lot of people in the alternative sphere are interested in. And we can talk more about the differences in what archaeology as a field is interested in versus what alternative people tend to be interested in. And archaeologists, spoiler, they're obsessed with trash, which is fine. Trash is very useful, but it's not the only thing that's useful. I talked a lot. Do you guys want to talk now?
Yeah, so what I found interesting was what you've been digging into recently about how they've not been compliant with the UNESCO requests for their management plans, site management plans.
Yeah.
Which means, when Jimmy and I went there earlier in 2025, that was one of the things that stood out was I've been traveling all over the world, and when I walked to sites everywhere and for years, and when I walked on that site, it was really disheartening because it just felt like it's really the final form of what happens to every archaeological site once it's got enough interests and is pulling in enough tourism. Mm-hmm. Right. So the roof was for me indicative of that money is replaced. The pursuit of money has replaced the pursuit of, our history as the primary focus. So that's an opinion. Obviously,
when you say the roof, you're talking about the covering?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And probably more specifically the pursuit of profit.
Yeah.
Not necessarily money to be used for reasons that would be beneficial for the actual site.
I don't know if this is the detail that you particularly want to concentrate on, but the covering of the archaeological area that they have, the exposed area,
mm-hmm.
actually has the dual purpose of being for visitors as well as protecting the exposed site, because generally you would rebury these things and they would be placed back under a layer of soil where they're protected. So it actually is necessary for conservation to cover it if you're going to leave it exposed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my issue with that, I think, is the way that it was done, building these massive pillars directly into the heart of the site. So when when we're when we're talking about creating a walking space for tourism, that already existed, and it would have been further back, but could have been done without putting those massive pillars and beams directly into the heart of the site. Now, we've gone over that before. I think on our stream here, I think, and obviously Jimmy's been documenting it, and then I have videos out and stuff, and you've been showcasing this online. Back to the original thing I was kind of broaching there was you digging into them not being in compliance there at the site, right? For how long now?
So there's different compliance.
Yeah.
There's so the most recent site management plan. I have all these in notes, but they have all these public documents. What I've specifically been looking at is the documents that are available on the UNESCO website. And the UNESCO website, it has all these different sources. If you want to show the tab, there are a bunch of documents that they have there going back a few years, and these are hosted on the UNESCO website. So this is a website where you can see all these documents that are public. They're made public by UNESCO going back to 2018, but certain of these documents contain older documents. There's some of them are compilations, but regardless, that's the source of all of these. And these go back mostly to the site management plan from 2017. And this site management plan was revised in 2017. It says up here, I cut some of this off, but it has a letterhead from the German Archaeological Institute, or I'm sorry, excuse me. It was a different university in Germany, and that's who created it in 2013, and then it was revised in 2017. So that's the main document that got me started on this. I basically started looking at these documents because the way that it was being talked about seemed very fishy to me. So I started reading these. So to answer your question, in compliance, I'm going to show this the long way with these different excerpts that I've taken, but the biggest point is that for 5 years, or 2017, the management plan was created until the end of 2021, which is 5 years total. So it was January 2017 until the end of December of 2021. And after that, they, to my understanding, are no longer in compliance with Turkish law. I could be incorrect on that, but that's my reading of it. I'm certainly not a lawyer, much less a Turkish lawyer. But the site has been described as expired, and I'll show that in the documents themselves. In this document comes 2017. This was a document that was used to get the document approved on the World Heritage Site list. And that World Heritage Site list is from UNESCO, which is the United Nations World Heritage Convention, ESCO. It stands for, I don't remember, it's something cultural. It's from the United Nations. But with them, they accepted it in 2018 in the World Heritage List, and they made a list of requests from the people at Gobekli Tepe, which in this case is ultimately the state actor, or the state party rather, which is Turkey. But there are other people who have been designated. There's different terms used in these documents, like stakeholders. There's different responsibilities thrown around. It's all very, very messy, but there are certain things in here that are pretty clear cut. And from that, they've made relatively little progress, which I will show you in these documents, since 2018, 8 years ago, when Gobekli Tepe was accepted as a World Heritage Site, including not updating the management plan. It already wasn't up to the standards of UNESCO that they were requesting in 2018 when they were accepted. It has not been updated. Since then, like I said, in 2021, it actually expired per the management plan itself, which was planned ahead for 5 years, which has been over now for 4 years, since 2022, January. And it's now January 2026. It's been 4 years since that expired. And I'm going to show you some even more concerning things from some of these documents, including these bi-yearly, as in every other year, UNESCO documents, which are concerned with, they're called the State of Conservation Reports, and they're discussing the issues at the site and what they're asking the state party to do and what progress has been made. And there's a lot here, so I'm sorry if I'm talking everywhere,
Nope.
but
no, yeah,
go
this
through
is
these.
great. On these documents, do they specify where they're out of compliance?
So I should say I'm not even sure compliance is the right word, because with UNESCO, there is mention of compliance with Turkish law, indirectly at the very least in some of these documents, because there have been, in some of the documents it says Turkish law requires that these are updated at a certain amount of time that I believe has not been reached. But with UNESCO, it's not necessary. I don't know if compliance would be the right word, but they certainly, it's shown by them being UNESCO in 2018 requesting certain documents and certain updates, which will make more sense when I show them to you after this. But I've got these in chronological order. That they have not produced documents of conservation, of risk management, and of management broadly, as well as the additional need of a tourism management plan. They have not produced these to the standard that UNESCO has requested in 8 years, with very little progress made on those particular items.
So then the concern over a lot of the construction and things that's been going on there would be valid.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. And I'll expand on that when we're looking at the particular documents, but I'm concerned personally. Yeah, I think it's very strange. I'm sure that, this is quite common. Archaeology is done different ways in different places, but with a site like this, it's very, very strange. And there's no, I mean, we can speculate about what it is, but I can show you.
Yeah.
But I want to show you those after I show you a few. So we've talked about the trees, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to talk on the trees for a moment, because Jimmy Corsetti brought up these trees, and the trees being an issue. And the olive trees, they were planted by a private landowner. And to my understanding, the landowner planted this orchard in anticipation of the land being expropriated.
Right.
It would be the equivalent, it seems, of eminent domain in the United States, which was famously used to steal homes from people in my hometown of New London, Connecticut, which went, I think, to the Supreme Court, and they never built anything. But regardless, the government's going to take the land. They were expecting to take the land, so they planted an orchard, so it's worth more money. So because of that, the landowner gets more money. And hilariously, Jens Notroff, he called this capitalism. It isn't. This is government ownership of land. Has nothing to do with capitalism. It's a government institution. He was defending it like that's just capitalism, but it isn't. This is explicitly not capitalism. It's a state-owned enterprise.
Yeah,
If anything, it's
actually.
communism, but it's not really that either.
That's silly.
It's ridiculous. The things these people say are crazy. But regardless, as early as 2016, these trees were being brought up. So this is from a document in 2016 from the Sanliurfa, which is the local area of Gobekli Tepe Regional Council for Conservation of Cultural Properties. And the verbiage here is unfortunately a little ambiguous to me. I'll make it larger here. The trees planted recently in the first degree archaeological site, and the first degree would be the highest level of archaeological site designated in the country of Turkey. There are also, as a part of the greater site of Gobekli Tepe, third degree archaeological sites, which have less legal protection. Those are further out. The main site is protected at the highest level, in theory, by Turkish law as a first degree archaeological site. And then there's also a buffer zone. And all of this information is in the management plan, which I'm about halfway through it. I've been reading it live on stream. It's taken me about 7 hours, including with commentary, and I have to get back to that. But I'm reading the entire thing. Regardless, this is from 2016, and it says the trees planted recently in the first degree archaeological site, which damages the archaeological elements, shall be uprooted by the excavation directorate and planted in different areas. So I don't, you can read that a number of ways. And unfortunately, a lot of the people discussing this online and defending the actions of the people there will take the tiniest little crack in the concrete that they can to make an argument that nothing crazy is going on. And you can read this to say, if they damage the site, then we'll get rid of them. But we have other things. And after this, I'm going to get in to some of the more specific documents recently. But this is the management plan and the conservation plan, which was not really the full conservation plan, which again, I'll have to show you in a minute. So any questions before I go into this tree thing?
No.
You know,
I don't think so. Not for me.
Am
I
I
think one of
boring
the
you?
big questions I have
No.
that keeps
No,
coming
not at all.
up for me on the controversy surrounding all this is why there's controversy. It seems like we should all be arguing for the same thing.
I mean, I'm concerned about the site,
which is conservation of the site.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about whether it's on my end, the thing that I was focusing on, which was these pillars and the roofing system, or Jimmy with the trees, or you pulling up the documents and stuff, these are concerns about an archaeological site and our history, the things that we care about, right? You would think that there'd be some kind of at least overlap, but my experience in terms of finding some common ground, but my experience over the last year has been anything but that. Especially on X, if somebody on X has archaeologist in their bio, it's just assumed automatically at this point that they hate me.
Yeah, and me too. And I only work within like archaeological documents, so it doesn't make any sense. I guess it's a tribalism thing, but I've been shocked. You know, I've known a lot of archaeologists in my life. I've met only a few that I did not think were good people. The behavior of archaeologists online has shocked me and is completely different from what I've experienced in real life. It is a subsection, and the whole field isn't really like this.
Now, to be fair, I do want to say that I don't think that these loud voices of negativity online that are representing the archaeological community are the example for archaeologists as a whole. Yeah. I just think that for whatever reason, you know, archaeologists that choose to get online for the most part seem to be rather negative towards anybody with a differing opinion of anything, really, in regards to their field.
Yeah. And they're also generally not the most prominent ones. Like Dr. Lee Clare, he's in a very prominent position. So maybe that's not true for him, but for someone like Flint Dibble, Flint Dibble is an archaeologist, but he's not like a prominent archaeologist. He hasn't actually published an archaeology paper since 2022, which was 4 years ago now. So, you know, he's not, and he has a few hundred citations versus someone like Flint Dibble's dad, who was an actual prominent archaeologist, has 10,000 citations on Google Scholar. Someone like Flint Dibble has a few hundred. So I think it's a case of like their careers aren't working out the way they wanted to. So they're like, let's pivot. And then there's also the added layer of jealousy and envy of seeing somebody like Graham Hancock, who they view as below them, or someone like Graham Hancock, who has a large audience to discuss these things. And they want that. They think not only do they want that, a lot of times, and this is my own view, my perspective on it, but I think a lot of times for a lot of these people, they believe that they're owed that because of their position. And that's not how it works.
I've said this here on the stream before is that, you know, for example, Flint Dibble, someone like him, his focus isn't on archaeology, doing archaeological work anymore. It's on being a YouTuber and a personality. That's the focus now.
I mean, he is a professor still. I believe
Correct.
he's still teaching, like to my understanding. But you know, being a professor and teaching archaeology is not doing archaeology. A lot of times, people will do both. They'll teach classes and they'll do archaeology. But like, I mean, he hasn't published since 2022. Like that's 4 years ago. Like at this point, you know, it's a long time.
So
Somebody has graduated with an archaeology degree since Flint Dibble, like started college, started university, finished university, did all 4 years in the entire time since Flint Dibble actually last produced any archaeological work.
Yeah. So look, we could dig into Flint for the whole show, but let's get back.
Right,
let's get back to the documents here.
Flint Dibble doesn't understand maritime archaeology, and he won't talk to me about it or even acknowledge what I've said because I showed that he's a complete moron and doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay, so Gobekli Tepe Conservation Plan, 2017 to 2021. This is produced by Lee Clare and Dr. Ing Moritz Kinzel from the Deutsches Archäologisches Institut. And Lee Clare is not German. He is British, but he works for the German Archaeological Institute. And I incorrectly one time identified him as German, but close enough. Regardless, they created this conservation plan for 2017, but I'm going to show you what it says in these later documents, which leads me to believe that it was a conservation plan, but it was never up to the standard of what they wanted. So in this document, okay, see here, 2017 to 2021. And there was also a draft in the documents, but this is the finished one. So these are the conservation priorities. This is one page near the beginning of this document, and the document is much larger. But one of their priorities is removal of olive trees on impact of roots on unexcavated archaeological heritage. Now, look, I might be reading this wrong, but when I see a document, and this is from that document that says 2017 to 2021, and then I see a goal that says removal of olive trees, to me, that means that the time scale is by the end of 2021. So
let me just, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let me stop you real quick.
Interrupt me as much as you want.
And let me have you explain to people that may not fully understand what's going on here with Gobekli Tepe, why this is important.
Yeah, so most of Gobekli Tepe is still buried in soil. It's in situ, as archaeologists would say, and they would mock you for not saying, but I don't care. It's underground. It's covered by soil. It's in the dirt, and that makes it safe. However, tree roots have the possibility of damaging the archaeology beneath, the material culture beneath, and moving things around as they grow. I've excavated at probably a dozen or so sites. I've seen tree roots, not all of tree roots, granted, but I've seen tree roots destroy archaeological sites and make the work a lot more difficult. This is what happens. You can take the opinion that the tree roots were not going far down enough to damage the site, and that's possible. But they have said, some of the people involved in this, including people from the DAI, they've said that they were monitoring it, but the documents that should have said how they were going to monitor it are what I've looked through, and there's nothing about how they're going to monitor it. And from my reading of this, it seems that their goal was to do it by the end of 2021, and that didn't happen until 2025. So all of these tree roots had the potential to damage the site, the stone pillars, as well as the material culture, all of the possible bones that are in there, the pottery. It pushes things around and makes them like they lose their spot where they were placed, which is of great value to archaeologists. So you don't want the tree roots to damage the site. Now, we don't really know if they damaged the site, but it isn't. Is there anything I didn't explain about that? Sometimes it's hard.
I think
No,
one
that's
of the
good.
arguments that they were using was that olive trees were particularly chosen, amongst other reasons, for having a shallow root structure, correct?
Which
I mean,
we actually know is
I've
not
seen no
true
documentation of
because
that.
Right.
the olive trees were planted by the previous owner of the property for the value that he would get on
Yeah.
his
I mean,
land being
maybe
acquired.
that
Yes,
landowner, because
that's
they
the
were already
said
in
other
talks.
reason.
They were already in talks to like take the site as an archaeological site from the landowner. So it's possible that the archaeologists spoke with them about what trees to plant, and they decided in favor of olive trees instead of some other type of tree because the roots are less likely to damage the site. But there was no archaeologist specifically making the call to plant olive trees in any documentation I've seen. And
Hmm.
from
So
these
it's just
documents,
something that someone chose to say as a defense for a reason to be like,
yeah,
you
I
know,
think so, probably.
yeah,
And
made
I
up after
also
the fact.
have, I mean, I have tweets here that I grabbed that are from people that are heavily involved in this that are
Yeah,
defending the trees.
let's look at that real quick
So,
because some of these I haven't seen.
well, this one's from Lee Claire. There's a lot more of these on Twitter, but erosion has been an issue at the site since the Neolithic. As far as we could see, the trees made a positive contribution to retaining sediment, but it was always clear they had to go. I mean, this might be true. It is very possible for tree roots to prevent erosion, but the place was a step. Like it was used as agricultural land in the past, but the soil, the shrubbery, the vegetation that was there seems to have been doing a good enough job. And it seems like this is just trying to justify this action. But this is from October 21 from Lee Claire. I mean, he's the author of the conservation plan, right? This one, he wrote this. I mean, he published it where it says removal of olive trees, impact of roots on unexcavated archaeological heritage for a timetable until 2021. And here
then
he is defending it. I did not
and then
realize how difficult it would be.
what's the date on the when did he tweet that?
October 21st of 2025, I believe.
So he's writing up site management plans talking about removal of the trees all the way back in what, 2016, 2017?
So I don't believe that specifically was in the site management plan. This is the conservation plan, which is a different
conservation plan. He's writing about the removal of the trees.
It's a long-term activity. To be fair, he did say it was always clear they had to go, but there is no mention about a positive impact of the tree roots against erosion. There's no mention of that.
Yeah.
In any of these documents that I found, and I've scoured them. I've read half of the management plan like itself.
When were they planted again? When were they originally planted?
Right before 2016, a few years within a few years before 2016. I don't know the exact year.
So not
I don't know
really
if anyone does actually.
So here's another interesting thing. When Jimmy and I were there, we just happened to show up on the day that they were removing the trees. I mean,
that's
talk
awesome.
about complete blind luck. But we showed up at Gobekli Tepe the very day that they were cutting down and removing all the trees. Now, they were cutting the trees at the base, but they left the roots. So it was an entire field still full of the root systems. So,
Well,
I'd be
won't grow
interested
anymore,
to see
right?
if any of those have been dug out. But, I took pictures and showed it in the video for that I released. But as far as I know, the roots are still in the ground.
I honestly, I don't know if that's a problem or not. I just don't know.
Yeah.
It probably has to do with the difference of the trees, but it's weird. This is like a case-by-case basis thing where trees can be helpful and they might not be helpful, but that's why you have these types of documents where these things are specifically looked into. And I think it's very irresponsible of these archaeologists to be blindly defending this. Like this is happening after, like, it's been written in 2016 that the trees can be removed. And then in that document I showed, and then the conservation plan, it's a goal. to remove the trees. So I don't understand why people are defending the trees.
So why is, for the last year or more, is Flint Dibble even weighing in on this?
I don't know, dude. He is a classics era food archaeologist, an
Right.
archaeobotanist, as far as I know.
So where does
this
his
is,
expertise come into play with any of these opinions?
I guess, I mean, he might have a better answer for you than I would, but being as you know, general archaeology experience, like I know I've only done archaeology on Eastern Algonquin sites in New England and a little bit in New York, which they were those weren't Algonquins. That's the only one. But there, you pick up general knowledge, and especially someone like Flint Dibble, who's been on sites in different parts of the world, would pick up a broader understanding than I would. But it's all still general knowledge. It's not specific to the site, and there are like you can talk generally all you want. Like generally, there are olive trees on sites, and that's fine, but you judge them by a case-by-case basis. Sometimes they can be helpful, sometimes they can be hurtful. And like always, Flint Dibble is talking out of his ass and doesn't bother doing the work and going through it. Like he just doesn't know, so he's talking out of his ass. Like this is actually dangerous to the site, because you have someone like Flint Dibble who is viewed by, you know, at least maybe 7 or 8 idiots, but still as as an authority on this, as well as people that are actual authorities on this. Some of them who have written about how the trees need to go, and they're defending the trees, and that skews public perception on what this is, and I think that's irresponsible.
Right. So I think it's confusing
yeah.
to the public, because it feels like we're running around in circles, even just digging through the comments and trying to figure this out, and the perspective and the position of these archaeologists who have chosen to weigh in on this, and including people who've worked at the site. It feels like about a lot of flip-flopping. Do you feel like that would be accurate?
I feel like I'm being gaslit by these people, to be honest.
Right.
I like I'm actually getting gaslit.
Yeah.
Past Politics, great account. Follow him on Twitter. Exactly. Sam has got it 100% correct. Thank you. Maybe the rest. Lee Claire's flipped back and forth. I don't know why I'm reading this. I muscle memory.
Maybe for people that are just listening.
Right. That's why I would do it, but this is not my channel.
Do it. Keep going.
It's a hostile takeover of the Wandering Wolf channel.
That's what that is what it feels like. It feels like being gaslit, and it feels like for the last year, since I've been involved in this, it feels like just running around in circles, to the point of just being like, dude, I don't listen to these guys anymore. And they've come on my accounts and harassed me unprovoked, and I just ignore them. You know, we've recently watched that all happen this past week also. And because it doesn't feel like there's anything to be gained. There's no way for a productive conversation to happen from this when this level of confusion exists.
And to me, it's like willful. It's
correct.
It feels like this is actually why I started looking into this stuff, because at first I thought like, okay, the trees are weird. Jimmy took care of it. Jimmy brought it up as a big issue. And look, after reading these documents, I already believed it. But after reading these documents, I am 99% sure that the reason those trees got removed is because of Jimmy Corsetti. So, you know, hats off to Jimmy for that. He made more of an
100%.
impact on archaeology than certain people named after rocks ever will.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and to know like we'll never know what the source of the flip-flops like from Lee Claire would be, like which outside influences are you know, maybe pushing him to say one thing one day and then a different thing the next. Like, I don't know. We'll never know that. But I did look up, do roots of olive trees keep growing after you cut the stump? And according to Google AI overview, yes, olive tree roots can keep growing and send up to new sprouts after the main tree is cut down. So even with them just cutting the tree off and then leaving the roots doesn't necessarily mean that no more damage is going to happen.
I would assume they have more of a process. I think that they moved the trees, so they probably have some plan, but whether or not they stick with that plan.
Yeah, but can we have
we'll
faith in that? Does anybody question why we wouldn't have faith in that after looking at some of these documents and different things?
Dude, I haven't even showed you the worst ones.
Yeah, let's
So
get
get ready
Okay.
to have the last of your faith stamped out.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, do you think that this is, what's your opinion? Do you think that this is malice or just incompetence? Like, do you think it's just a disorganized project, poorly managed, or both?
I don't understand how it could be poorly managed. Maybe over managed is a word. Maybe like, what's the politically correct way of saying too many chiefs, not enough Indians?
I think, you know, and I've said this again, I've said this on this live stream before. I can't remember which episode we were talking about this, but I think that Lee Clare is in a position of having to be the face for that site, right? So he is in this position of being the expert archaeologist for the site, but also having to manage expectations publicly, which I don't think he's great at, and also keep things kind of under wraps when the people who are really in charge, which are the ones that are financing everything there at the site, these walkways, the roof system, there's a couple new buildings there, and the gift shop and the restaurant and the new hotel resort that they're building at the front. He has to manage all of that, right? So he's in this almost position of like being, you know, this spokesperson for this whole process and not just being an archaeologist.
And in defense of Lee Clare, even though Lee Clare has been a bit of a dick to me, and he has me blocked on Twitter, and he doesn't have Jimmy Corsetti blocked, which is very strange. And I have to believe that has something to do with the particular things that I'm discussing, which he's not. Or maybe I forget that I said something. I tend to do that. That might have actually pissed him off, but I don't know. Regardless, in defense of Lee Clare, because regardless of how I feel, I'm going to share my archaeological opinion, even if I've agreed with Flint Dibble before. You can bet on that. That's what matters. But Lee Clare has become the public face of it, but he does not have the level of authority or position that people think that he does. He's in a very prominent position as the head of the Gobekli Tepe research project for the German Archaeological Institute. He is in a very, very prominent position. I'm not trying to insult him. But yes, as Past Politics says, Necmi Karul is the site manager, but Lee Clare is in charge of the excavations. But I have found pretty much almost no public interaction between the two. And I don't know how. So to my understanding, again, Necmi Karul has other positions as well. I believe he's a professor as well as being the lead archaeologist at other sites of the what Tas Tepler culture, as it's called. So he has other responsibilities. There's also the Turkish government itself. There's the Sanliurfa, which is the local like tourism and cultural resources board. There's an advisory board, which I cannot for the life of me find the current members of anywhere, but when I did find a reference to them in an older document, they were almost entirely Turkish professors. So I don't believe that Lee Clare himself, I don't know if there's malice anywhere, but I've seen no evidence of malice in the work being done. I have seen malice in the way that it's been discussed online, but not in the actual work. I don't think Lee Clare wants to damage the site. I don't believe that.
I actually don't believe that either.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think he wants to damage the site, which is why I said before, I think he's in this very tough position that he's not good at handling, of being the face of Gobekli Tepe right now.
Yeah. And without the authority to do everything that people
expect. No authority.
And
right. Yeah.
He also, it's very important. This is the Turkish government. This is not the United States government or the Canadian government or the British government. They don't have the same sensibilities that we do. Like he can't just, there are things that he can't say that maybe he wants to because of the climate in Turkey. And Lee Clare has brought this up before. He is a British national who works as the head of a research project for a German institution that is being allowed to work in Turkey.
Right.
So they can kick him out, as far as I know, anytime they want if he says the wrong thing. And, you know, as we've seen with some of these threats of sanctions against Jimmy Corsetti, that is something that they're willing to do. We saw this as well in Egypt with Graham Hancock being effectively banned from the pyramids. Maybe I'm misquoting that, but he was something like
for
that.
years.
Right?
Yeah, for years.
Yeah. Was he actually banned from the site itself? Right.
Yeah, from the country.
Right. And I don't think we've hit that extreme, but I think your experience, which I remember listening to, was somewhat, you had a scary experience. After I do this, I'm not going to Turkey. Well, that freaks me out.
Yeah, so you know, we did an Egypt tour here recently, which was amazing. And the day of my flight back, that morning, like maybe 2 hours, maybe less, all of my flights were changed and rerouted, and I was put on different airlines, and now I was flying through Turkey and Istanbul. And so I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. I get to the airport. I have to get a ticket there now because all my other tickets were like no good. This is just a few months ago. This is November. And I get there. They can't print me a ticket. And they're saying that my name is flagged in the system. And I shit you not, I thought about canceling my whole thing in Cairo and buying a whole new set of tickets. But I did it anyways. They gave me my ticket, but they didn't give me my connecting ticket and said I had to, when I got to Istanbul, check in there with this other airline and they would print me a ticket. And they gave me a bag.
Flagged is crazy. Unless it was just a logistics thing, maybe.
It turned out being a logistics thing, but I'm not gonna say that I wasn't, you know, sweating a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
It's such an unfortunate coincidence.
Yeah, and I haven't really gone after anybody or tried. You know, I did the video, and I mean, I'm a vlogger. I go to sites around the world documenting these places and share it with people. And you know, I shared my trip through Turkey and Gobekli Tepe and what I thought, but I haven't been going after these people, these archaeologists, like you know, for Jimmy, for example, or even yourself or Dan.
Yeah.
So, but they've certainly come after me.
Yeah, they're
for being involved.
Not very forgiving people.
No, not at all. So, so let's get to the good stuff. Blow my mind, man. You said you had some stuff that was going to just.
So real quick, these are two examples of things from the management plan. They wanted to commission, finalize, and adopt a conservation plan. This is from the site management plan in 2017, within 0 to 1 year. It's unclear to me if this document, this conservation plan, is sufficient to you know, fill this category, but I have reason to believe that it's not. But you know, this right here, 2 to 5 years and ongoing, this was their goal of integrating and implementing the conservation plan within the overall site management process. So they just haven't done the conservation work, at least in text. You know, there are things that they've done for conservation, of course, but these things require a plan per Turkish law and per UNESCO standards for a reason. And they haven't met those standards. Oh yeah. And this is just a line about the trees from the management plan. Also along the slopes and its hollows, all the plantations cover considerable parts of the mound. Those were planted shortly prior to registration of Gobekli Tepe as the archaeological conservation site and represent a recent and somewhat artificial but currently substantial part of the Tues vegetation. And now this is the good stuff. And there's more. You know, there's so many of these documents. But what you'll notice here. So there's more in these conservation, the state of conservation reports. These are all from UNESCO. This one is from May 2000. I'm sorry. This one is not a state of conservation. This is the original acceptance, which is formatted similarly to the state of conservation reports. And in that, they gave recommendations for what they want to see at the site, at Gobekli Tepe in this case. So again, May of 2018, this is part of it. You can read all of these at the website that I showed at the beginning of the stream, which is the UNESCO website. These are public documents. So they want to have, and I've color coded this for your ease of viewing pleasure, your viewing pleasure. Here we go. Develop the management plan. That's in blue. Okay. Include a full conservation plan, and this is orange. Now, notice that this says May 2018. This conservation plan that they're talking about is 2017 to 2021. So in 2018, it's implied from this, and I think for good reason, that this conservation plan that I've shown is not sufficient for the conservation plan. For the conservation plan that UNESCO is requesting. So they do have a conservation plan, but it's not up to the UNESCO standards. And this is said for the first time in this acceptance in May of 2018, at least in finalized form. And also the management plan. The management plan from 2017 to 2021, January to December of 2021, that is also prior to this. And even still, they are the first request, or one of a request from the first time that UNESCO is requesting anything, is develop the management plan, because their management plan, while sufficient for Turkish law, is not sufficient for UNESCO standards. And so developing the management plan, May 2018, even though it won't expire per Turkish law until 2021, they still need to update the management plan. They also want a risk preparedness plan, which is going to be in yellow for all of these, and a tourism management plan, which is sometimes called a visitor management plan. They're interrelated, but finalize the detailed tourism management plan. So one thing I will say is that based on the workload that something like this creates, as in, you have all these things to do, tourism adds an extra layer of complexity on this. It seems like it's hard for me to not view this as them not putting enough resources to conservation and to management when they're not able to produce the conservation plan and the management plan within both their own and UNESCO's standards, the standards of the Turkish laws, the standards of the management plan from 2017 itself, and the standards set forth by UNESCO, which I am showing on the screen right now. Any questions before I move on to the next one?
No. Yeah. Let's keep going.
So this is the first update. And there are responses. For brevity, I haven't included them, but there are responses from Turkey in between all of these reports. And those kind of repeat the same thing, essentially, because the state of conservations from UNESCO, they basically, in addition to giving recommendations, they summarize what's said most of the time in those Turkish state party reports. So this is from the State of Conservation, June of 2021, from UNESCO again. Further developing and strengthening the management plan by developing a full conservation plan as the basis for a well-planned and long-term conservation approach with an associated action plan and dedicated resources. Very similar to what was said in 2018. So over 3 years later, they're asking for these same things. They're also asking for a risk preparedness plan, because that has not been worked on or has not been submitted in the over 3 years since it was requested. And in green, the visitor management plan, including a tourism management plan and actions, time schedules, and dedicated resources. Again, asking for that same thing. Any questions?
No. I want to save them.
So this is June of 2021. Can you guess what it says in June of 2023?
Yeah, the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
State
of conservation.
They worded it differently. Okay.
They did word it differently, but they also start wording it a little more aggressively. So in blue,
as a matter of priority.
As a matter of priority for review, this is 5 years.
Is that the first year that we start getting that type of language?
I believe so. Yeah.
So they're,
at least in these,
they're kind of shooting off these requests for like 3 years. Like, hey guys, what's going on? And then here they're like, hey, what the fuck, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a revised management plan. That's what they want. They still want a revised management plan. It's been over 5 years. We're talking about the request in May 2018. It's now been 5 years. As a matter of priority for review, because it's been 5 years, guys. What's going on? A full conservation plan as the basis for a well-planned and long-term conservation approach with associated action plan and dedicated resources. For some reason, they didn't put this one in parentheses, but they put it here. I guess they were like doing the homework and they were like, change it a little bit so the teacher doesn't catch you cheating. But yeah, it's the same request because no progress was made. So in yellow, a comprehensive risk assessment and risk preparedness plan. Weird. They were asking for that in May of 2018. How did that happen?
Yeah.
A
Before
draft.
it was just include a risk management plan. Now it's we need a comprehensive, right? It's like you're on our radar now. You guys aren't doing this. So I guess the question that I have, and then I'll just keep it brief because I want you to keep going here. But what happens for them? Clearly they can just ignore all this.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do? Take them off the list? That's worse.
Yeah, so they could take them off the list, but that just won't happen, or what?
Well, that's not going to help the site, right? Like, it's not going to help conserve the site for them to not even be involved at all. Like, they're offering them resources. They're even encouraging them to use the resources. I don't know how helpful those resources are, but these reports are much longer than this. These are just sections. I'm just taking out the meat of it. But yeah, you see this by the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies utilizing the Enhancing Our Heritage Toolkit 2.0. Just reading the name Enhancing Our Heritage Toolkit, it's probably a goddamn nightmare. So maybe it's not a great resource, but they are providing resources and even funding in certain cases. I don't know if they are for this, but UNESCO does this. Like, they're not going to take them off the list because that just punishes the site and everybody who would visit it. It doesn't punish the people who are being irresponsible.
Here's what it does do, and I just want to make this point. It puts them above reproach. And it heads off at the pass the type of scrutiny that they've been under from individuals, tourists, and YouTubers like ourselves, from having a leg to stand on and critiquing them, right? Like, I mean, obviously they'd still have to like follow through with the action of these plans if they created it, but this is a process that's put in place in order to keep the site above reproach and for them to not have to deal with the stuff that they've been dealing with for the last year with the public.
Right.
And over a year. Years.
I mean, but it's shocking to me that no one else has looked into this stuff. I guess it's more of like me and past politics thing, but
yeah, but let's definitely thank Jimmy for putting this on the map so hard. He went so aggressively on this and knew that it was such a big deal, and he hasn't let up. He hasn't taken his foot off their neck. And I don't think that we would be where we're at with things without him making those efforts and doing what he's done to bring attention and use his platform to shine a light on this.
100%. And I've told Jimmy myself personally and publicly that I maybe I haven't said this part publicly, but the reason I looked into this stuff at all was because of how strange I thought that the response to Jimmy's research was. I thought it was completely bizarre, and it made me think that there was something else going on that was maybe a little bit worse. And what I found has been worse than I even could have imagined. I knew it was worse, but this is worse.
Yeah.
So yes, this all goes back to Jimmy Corsetti.
So, okay, before I want you to continue on this, but I'm seeing some questions in the comments about why is this important? What does this all mean? Why are we talking about stuff from the past instead of now? What can we do another summary for those? Because the show, the viewers have more than doubled since we first started getting into this, right? So we've got a lot of new people in here.
So this is Gobekli Tepe, which I'm sure all of you know at least somewhat what the site is. It's in Turkey. It was accepted in 2018 as a World Heritage Site, which has implications for UNESCO. And it's also protected under Turkish law. So the United Nations, under UNESCO, which is their cultural heritage, section, they have designated it as a World Heritage Site, as in it has value to all of mankind, humankind. And these documents are from UNESCO. I'm showing these documents. We're going back all the way to 2018 when it was accepted, when Gobekli Tepe was accepted as a World Heritage Site, and the requests that UNESCO made of the the state party, which is the state that is in charge, in this case being Turkey. They've requested a management plan, an updated management plan is what they requested in 2018, as well as a full conservation plan, again in 2018, a tourism management plan, and a risk preparedness plan in 2018. And all of these documents are requested by UNESCO with the intention of adequately preserving a site that is important enough to be included on the World Heritage List. This is a prestigious honor for a country and for a archaeological site in general. It's a big deal to be on this list, and that's why UNESCO has these standards to have these documents that are created to plan and prepare and conserve the site and ensure that that these sites are not being destroyed or damaged or eroded. And it's not just the archaeological conservation. They deal with things like wars. Like there are things in Afghanistan. I think in the 90s, Afghanistan, as in the Taliban owning Afghanistan at the time, they destroyed this old, like over 1,000 years, giant sculpture of Buddha because it was idolatry. And I believe up until that happened, it was a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But unfortunately, that's one of the things that can happen. And that actually, something like that did play a role here, because during the Syrian civil war, when that was going on more a few years ago and longer, I know we had a little bit of an uptick recently, but Gobekli Tepe sits very near the border. And so that has implications there as well. Apparently, I think the refugees were like a quarter of the population of the area of Sanliurfa, which is where Gobekli Tepe is. So their population increased by a quarter from refugees, and the fighting was across the border. It was very close. So in all aspects, they're trying to preserve the site. And the archaeologists who are in charge of doing this work, their responsibility is to follow these guidelines and to produce what UNESCO is requesting. They have those standards for a reason. And in this case, they're not producing them.
And to expand on why it's so impactful to everyone and just normal humans, us as people, understanding our history, because it's because of the age of the site, right? Like it has pushed back our understanding of how intellectual humans were at that time period. It potentially changes like the narrative around agriculture and all of these different things. It has the potential to, like, you know, we use the term rewrite history, but really rewrite our history books. It's just exposing more of history that we don't know. And so I think that's part of the reason why people are so upset that the archaeologists are saying like, oh, we're leaving work for future archaeologists to have. It's like, well, we as people want to understand our history, and we need archaeologists to do this work for us to read the research that they do, to understand and for, you know, people like in your field, so not sociology,
social anthropology,
social anthropology. Thank you.
Yeah,
but like all of those kind of neighboring fields, for people to piece things together and start to have a greater understanding of what life was like thousands and thousands of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And so even it is a World Heritage Site, which gives it a level of prestige. But I would say that amongst World Heritage Sites, this site is of particular interest. It's one of the more notable. And as of yet, like a lot of these sites are, you know, it's a cathedral or a monument. Like it's not something that necessarily is an active archaeological site. This is probably the most prominent active archaeological site in the world. I can't think of one that's more prominent than this. So it's Yeah, I do have some stuff to say about leaving the work for future generations. Not necessarily that I'm more in the middle, and I'll get into that a little bit after. I think that would be helpful if you guys want to talk about it. But let me first go to 2015, or I'm sorry, 2025. As long as that's okay with you guys. I'm not.
Please.
Yeah. Go
I'm
for
not
it.
trying to hostile take over your channel here.
No, I
Do
feel
it.
like that. I feel like that summed it up. That's good.
Cool. Good. So they're asking for the same things up until July 23rd July of 2023. So submit as a matter of priority or for review. We see that in 2023 that it's a, what's the word? It's an increase in the intensity of the language. It's an intensification of the language. There's some other word I was looking for, but regardless,
Escalation.
Escalation. Thank you. That is the word. So then we have 2025. And this is the most recent one. This is the most recent state of conservation from UNESCO from July of 2025. So we won't have another one until approximately July of 2027. So reiterates its recommendations to the state party to use this resource in the revision of the management plan, and stresses, and things are being underlined here. Okay. They're pulling out underlines. This is getting serious. They've been asking for this for, at this point, last year, 7 years. So they're underlying stuff.
They're pulling out as per my previous email.
Literally. Very like the official document version of per my previous email, except per my last 3 previous emails over the last 7 years. What the hell are you guys doing? It's gotten worse since we made you guys a World Heritage Site. What are you possibly doing? Yeah, with all due respect, the revision of the management plan and stresses the urgency of expediting this process, particularly given that the previous management plan expired in 2022. Really expired the end of, or January 2022 or December of 2021. I've seen it written both ways, but regardless, and requests that the revised management plan include a full conservation plan as the basis of a long-term conservation strategy. So a disaster risk assessment and preparedness plan. You're seeing the same language. A full conservation plan as the basis of a long-term conservation strategy. Oh, approach here and then strategy. So it is a little different. With associated action plan. And then there actually is one change here. They did work on some of the visitor management plan, but there were changes requested. So they got one of those things that we've been looking at year after year. But it was the visitor management plan. The thing that they prioritized for some reason is visitors coming to the site. So we're almost done here. There's one more excerpt that I have that I think is the worst one. So you tell me. So they made some progress here. Good for them. But it's still been 7 years, and you guys made a draft of one of the things that they requested, which is crazy. So this is where they're asking for particular things on the visitor management plan. Okay. So this right here, this is from this same document from the State of Conservation, July 2025. Acknowledges the state party's intention to revise the management plan and relating planning tools for the conservation of the property, and urges the state party to limit further archaeological excavations and interventions in the property to urgent measures necessary for stabilizing areas at risk of collapse and preventative maintenance pending the finalization and adoption of a comprehensive conservation plan and revised management plan. So they're now telling them, UNESCO is telling them, urges, underlined, the state party to limit further archaeological excavations and interventions in the property to urgent measures necessary for stabilizing areas at risk of collapse and preventative maintenance until they finalize the management plan and the conservation plan. So in writing, UNESCO is telling Gobekli Tepe, the people excavating it, to limit further archaeological excavations and interventions they don't say only, but 2 urgent measures to stabilize and preventative maintenance. They don't want them to be doing anything. I guess they are. Lee Claire was sharing stuff that they're doing, unless what they were doing was related to what they're describing here. But the UN is telling Gobekli Tepe, because you guys haven't done these things that we asked for 7 years, stop excavating, because we need these documents so that we know that you guys have a plan. I'm sure they have working plans. I'm sure they have like certain policies that they have, and they know stuff generally, but there's a reason that these documents are requested. And they're, at this point, UN, the people in charge of the World Heritage Site, this prominent, like, prestigious list, the people that run that list are telling the people that run Gobekli Tepe to stop excavations to only the most critical things. It's like a mass casualty event, but for archaeology. It's triage.
This is very disappointing.
It's crazy.
Are you literally speechless, or do you just know?
I think, you know, they don't, and they haven't had plans for any of these things that they've been requested, or they would have submitted them.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna ask, like,
Which
you would be able to find the documents, right? Are those public, or because you were able to find this, so right?
Yeah. Well, what documents would be public?
Like if they were, what documents Gobekli Tepe would be providing UNESCO?
I mean, so this is from July 2025. It's possible that they've got completely up to date on all this stuff since then, and they just haven't put them on the website yet, and no one on the internet told us. But we're
not seeing a track record that would support that.
Yeah, that didn't happen. And they would have to completely change immediately.
What bothers me a lot about all this is that it's what it seems like is, and this is again, most of our issues that we've been seeing, and then we keep getting gaslit about, is that it seems like the focus is on profit through tourism. That's the priority at the site. And, you know, during this period of time that all of this has been going on, we've seen multiple structures built out there, shops, stores, roofing system, walkways, concrete walkways, full driving, parking lots, full roadway up there. They're building a hotels and stuff at the front of the site. These are all the things that are being worked on and developed. And it's, you know, again, now listen, this is me reading between the lines. It seems like they're not submitting plans so that they can build whatever they want to bring in money through tourism as a primary source of earnings for the country.
It's earned. I can't imagine it. I don't know. I
don't know
how much money they're making from tourism, but clearly they're not doing the basic things that are requested from them. So to me, it seems obvious to cut. Like, if you're at the point where you're saying don't do any more excavations except for the most required stuff, and then you have resources being dedicated to tourism, even archaeology, you can say it's different resources, but it's not, because they had to produce a visitor management plan. I don't understand why that was the top priority. And it's to your point that, like, to me, it seems obvious the conservation and the excavations, those are the most important things in that order. Tourism should not be the most important thing when we're dealing with a situation that is this dire. And of course, they'll try to downplay this on Twitter, and they'll say, "Oh, this is totally normal for sites," but this is not normal.
And look, if it is normal, then that's what we're saying is that that's not okay. And I don't understand why you know, why our community is the one. It just feels backwards. Like the archaeologists should be the one up in arms about all this.
I mean, they really should be, but I think what happens is that maybe if that had come from archaeology from within, although it probably wouldn't, just because they tend to protect their own unless they have a vendetta against them for some reason, which really does happen. But it's because it's brought up by the alternative community. it's just, oh, they're the pseudo-archaeologists, so
Right.
their motives are wrong and there must be nothing to it. And so I'm going to look at this information and I'm going to say whatever I can to disprove it, which is
Right.
why you have, these tweets, because for some reason they want, without looking into the specifics, or worse, although I expect they just didn't see it at all, they look at this and they say, I don't care about the situation. I care more about beating Jimmy Corsetti on Twitter,
Right.
or even worse, because of how much smaller I am, like, oh, I need to stick it to Illegitimate Scholar. That's a really important
Right.
thing to do. That's more important than the archaeology, which it's not. It's not.
Right.
Which is, he's not even involved. It's so silly.
He's got to he's just like he stuck his nose in maritime archaeology, which he doesn't understand. He's got to stick his nose in other things he doesn't understand.
But these
He doesn't
documents are
understand
basically like verifying or vindicating all of the concerns that people have had.
I'm certainly concerned. And I would have never looked into any of this without Jimmy, and crucially, not just Jimmy, but the archaeological response to Jimmy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the big that was a big indicator for me. It was like the level of vitriol that came back because of a simple call out on things like the trees. And that video that I released, the exposing archaeology, was a culmination of like almost 10 years of traveling around the world and seeing this pattern everywhere. So it's not just like go back.
I'm listening.
No. Hold on. We need it. Let's get a good break in here. Dude, were you feeding it a bottle?
Yeah.
Yep. Little baby. Ow. Awesome. Yeah.
That's great.
Support her butt. A little bottom. It's about 1 pound. 420 grams last night.
Cat break. I want one of those cute little cat songs to play right now.
Oh, there's the shot.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Her name is Magdalene Teresa, named after Mary Magdalene and Maria Theresa, Empress of Austria, and through her husband, the Empress of the Holy Roman Empire, as well as the Habs. She was the as ruler, as sovereign of the Habsburgs lands and of the Austrian Empire, which at the time, I think it was a lot.
Weren't the Habsburgs like the incredibly inbred line?
Yeah, but most of but not all of them were. But yes, that's the one. They were also like, at the time of the early modern period, they were like the most prominent people in Europe. At one point, they owned like the Netherlands and Burgundy and both Sicilies, which includes southern Italy and all of Spain. And I don't know if there's overlap with when they controlled Portugal as well. But yes, Habsburgs were very prominent. But the reason is that Maria Theresa, in her portraits, they're always from when she's older, so she always has very gray white hair, and so I thought that it worked.
I love gray kitties. Oh my god, look at that face. Yeah. So cute.
That's great. Yeah, we needed that. Thank you.
Little cat.
This is kind of depressing topics, once you start getting into them. Oh my gosh, dude.
Stop it.
I'll make you feel better with my burrito.
Just a little burrito, baby.
Oh my god.
Burrito. Of course. Of course. Oh.
Is she just attached to you since you've gotten her?
Is she what?
Just like totally attached to you since you got her?
Oh, completely. She thinks I'm her mom. She tries to suckle on my neck. She tries to get milk out of my neck. I swear to God. She won't eat her solid food, which I'm trying to wean her onto, but tries to drink my blood like a freaking Dracula.
Vampire, baby. They're little vampires.
Somebody just said you better have a kitty cam on your streams now. I have already thought about how I would set it up, and I know exactly how to do it, and I will.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
So cute.
Yeah.
Well, so
I have to say, people really quick, people in the chat are saying, you know, kind of bringing up the conspiracy side of things with it being linked with the WEF, and it's like, I know it's good to stay in the realm of what you can prove with documents, but it's so hard to not speculate with them being involved and just how this is going and the greater picture with, you know, the one world government controlling our past, blah blah blah, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's totally.
And look, I'm down to speculate with you
possible.
guys. Sorry, go ahead.
That's it. It's just possible, but like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But
yeah, and that's just like, you know, I just consider that not my lane to at least produce like research on. This is the type of thing that I'm doing, but I'm certainly down for a discussion about it. It's just not, you know, I try to concentrate on the stuff I understand the most and get as much depth into it as possible. And in this case, there is a lot of depth, hundreds and hundreds of pages of depth. And like I said earlier, I've been reading on live stream. It's been incredibly boring. I've had the lowest stream viewership I've ever had reading this technical document, which is really not all that surprising. As low as like 3 people watching me, by the way, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm just reading it, and I committed to it, so I have to go back to it. But Maggie kind of took my attention away.
I appreciate content like this, and I think it's a kind of up and coming way of like creating content, because a lot of these documents people wouldn't even know exist. And I think to be able to show on screen and prove with legit documents the research, so people can read it themselves, especially in this age of AI and deep fakes and like everything being so much harder to sift through. It's very qualifying and like substantial to have literal proof on the screen as you're talking about things, you know. So it might be boring, but I think there's a niche fields of people that appreciate it. I do.
This stuff, these excerpts, that's a little bit different. That's like, I'm going to be making a standalone video on this eventually when I get to it. I won't even bother to make a promise right now. But I've been literally the entire, I think it's like 150-page site management plan. I've been reading the entire thing, like all of the words going through it. And that's different. Like, that's where I'm getting some of the information from. But this is from multiple other documents. That's just for me to do background to understand the site. But once I have all this information, I'm going to put it into a standalone video as well, with the most hard-hitting stuff, which will include what I have showed you here today.
Well, like Sammy said, like, and it's important to get this stuff out there. Once it's out there, it's out there. It's like you said, there's, you know, most people aren't going to sit and read all this, you know, and it's amazing that you've gone through all of this and put it together in a way that we could present to the public. And
the idea.
Know, and so that's how all this information gets, you know, disseminated out to the public, so people have a greater awareness, like knowledge level increases generally that way. So, you know, it's I'm not seeing, you know, one of the main things that I've seen visiting so many sites around the world is that this is par for the course, right? Everything that's happening at Gobekli Tepe is basically, we're just watching it happen in real time at one of the most prominent sites on the planet right now.
Yeah.
And generally what happens is sites get excavated somewhere between 5 to 20%. And then everything stops, because that's all they need to develop a site for it to be viable for tourism as a sort of cash cow.
Well, there's another element to that, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, if you weren't done, I'll wait.
Yeah, I was just going to say that they don't. If you're looking at it through the lens of making money off the site, a place like Gobekli Tepe has been excavated enough for them to do that now.
Yeah, but that's pretty rare, honestly. So this is a particular case. Most archaeological sites are not going to become tourist sites. But in this case, because of its prominence, they have that opportunity. But So
correct. And I'm speaking specifically about sites that have become tourist sites. So there has to be something incredible about a site generally for it to become viable for tourism. So a pyramid, megalithic structures, T-pillars, things like that generally, right? So the sites that are less impressive generally don't have as big of a tourist draw. But if they do, once they've, I was just in Guatemala and, showcased the reconstruction that they're doing there, which is just crazy. But
on a Mayan site?
Yeah, and the pyramids there, they're just rebuilt. They're all rebuilt with concrete and limestone on site.
Yeah.
So
Different people have different thoughts on that. I'm not sure how I stand.
Yeah. But, I hope that's not what we're seeing here. But there isn't a lot of faith in the process with what you've been showing us here today.
Yeah, well, they're being told not to excavate anymore, It's so that's not a good sign. Just straightforward, not a good sign. The other thing is that the archaeologists that excavate these sites, and archaeology as a field in general, they use a lot of big data, and so they have to compile this data from these sites, and it does tell us a lot. There is a lot of benefit to this information, and I use information like this quite a lot. Like, for example, sorry, let me back up for a moment. Like, the archaeological data that they're gathering, there's different methods. There's trenching for excavations, where you're digging a trench along a long area. Most of what I've done, because of the location that the location being New England that I've worked in, and the type of sites there, it's mostly been these 1 meter by 1 meter grid squares that they excavate, and they're aiming to excavate a survey of the area. So they're not, because of how labor intensive this is, they're not really at most sites, they being archaeologists, looking to actually excavate most of the site, because the information that they're looking for can be gathered through a survey. It's like a survey that you would have of people. Yeah, she is really playful right now. This is crazy. By playful, I mean biting and scratching me. So
because you just fed her, so she got all sorts of energy now.
I think it's because I didn't feed her enough. I think that's what I'll do. I'll make her stop.
She said more.
So to get an archaeological survey of a site, when you're doing these 1 by 1 grid squares, and I don't know if they're doing something slightly different at Gobekli Tepe, but that was my experience, and that's a pretty common way to do it. You're digging down 10 centimeters at a time. You're sifting all of the dirt there. Every 10 centimeters that you go down, you're sketching. You're putting everything that you find in individual bags to that 10 centimeter section of that 1 by 1 grid square, which is recorded through an alphanumeric code. And most of this stuff gets thrown into a locker somewhere, and most of it is not that important, being that it's important in aggregate as data. But it's not like, these are bits of charcoal or a piece of flint or chert. That's the type of thing that you would find at the sites that I worked at, that are Paleo-Indian, earlier Eastern Algonquin Native Americans, as well as some of these contact period domestic Indian sites, as well as some historic period, being the 19th century European sites, or American sites, really, that are there. So getting a representative sample of that lets them know what is in that site at that time. And in aggregate, when looking at multiple sites in a similar area, or even comparing them over a larger area, you can get an idea of changing diets through osteological analysis of bone structures, of the bone structures of the people there. You can look at the bodies that are found in a grave site, for example, in Eastern Algonquin Place in Connecticut, versus the bodies in a grave site 200 years later, and you can see how their bones changed, see how healthy they were. A survey of the ages that are represented in the population, a survey of the level of healthiness, again, mostly in the bones, depending on the level of preservation there is. You can also see what their diet was. These are midden heap is a trash heap, but archaeologists love trash, and for good reason, because of the data that you get from it. if you look at the trash of a site and you get a survey of what's in that trash, you can find the bones of animals that they ate. You can find plant fibers on earthenware. You can find the type of pottery of earthenware that they're using, usually broken up when it's in these midden heaps, but you can still find it and find out what material it is. And then through archaeobotanical analysis, through looking at the little tiny pieces of plant fibers that are on either these vessels, like a pot. Oh, sorry, baby. Sorry, Meg. You can look at through archaeobotanical analysis. These archaeobotanists, they look at these little remnants of plants. This is how they figured out that the Romans were using fortified wine, and they were tripping in their temples. They didn't know that for a long time, and then they found evidence of ergot through this archaeobotany. And then again, the osteological analysis gives you a lot of information. And in aggregate, over a period of time and between different sites in a culture, that begins to tell you a lot of very, very detailed numbers-based information about a culture, about a site, and about changes over time, which is awesome. And I love it. And it's great. But the flip side of that is that that's the type of information that they are most interested in. And they are not as interested in, for example, the iconography that's on these T-pillars. They are interested in it, absolutely. But I think it's fair to say that there's a heavier emphasis on that material culture and getting the survey. So when they say that it's not normal to excavate an entire site, that actually is true based on the archaeology of today. It would have been normal in the past, but they would have been using much more destructive methods. They would have taken a lot less time because they were not meticulously documenting every little 10-centimeter thing. And that's not good or bad. The information they get is good, but it also takes longer. And we're seeing that with Gobekli Tepe. And that's why they don't want to excavate the whole site, because if you have to excavate the whole site, assuming they're doing this 10 centimeters down in 1 by 1 meter plots at a time, the amount of manpower you would need to do that to the level of detail that they're looking for would be astronomical. It like even if you take away the tourists, it's still going to take a very, very long time. So it's excavating the entire site, honestly, isn't really feasible with current methods. That's not that I don't want to see the site fully excavated. It's just, it's not as ridiculous as a thing to say as people seem to think it is. And the archaeologists have done a very poor job of explaining that.
Yeah, they need some better spokespeople.
Yeah, maybe me, except I'm the pseudo-archaeologist, right? I'm the one defending them this entire time while also calling out particular things. But I'm calling out people based on the standards of the most prominent cultural management organizations. So it's even still, in my perspective, defending mainstream archaeology, which I spend a lot of time doing, and yet nobody seems to notice.
Yeah.
Or at least nobody on their side or care,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, you can't step out of line even a little bit, or you're
kicked out of the club.
You're out of the club, man.
And so I'm not just one of the enemy. I'm a traitor, because I'm one of them and I'm over here.
Good point.
Not that I don't have a PhD, but I've had people tell me specifically, like, because I have a traditional background, they're like, "What are you doing talking to these guys?" It's like, I like these guys. What are you talking about? They're way more fun than you.
How dare you be open-minded?
And you're mean. Yeah.
And have a conversation.
Jesus, can you imagine?
But that's what's so silly about, like, the whole we're leaving the site for future generations. It's like there's so much of it, and like you said, like, the work is so meticulous that they could work at the speed, at max speed, and there would still be work for future generations.
Right.
It's and I would say, like, that's not a reason to not excavate, but they apparently are excavating to some degree, right? So,
and look, I don't know, but my opinion, and I only speak for myself, but based on what I've read in these documents, I don't want them to be excavating right now.
Right.
I want them to get this shit under control. Like, I trust UNESCO's view on this. Like, they've been asking for these, they're asking for these documents for a reason. And I'm scared for the safety, the integrity of the site, that these documents are not being produced. Yeah, it sucks.
pretty
Like I used to do
suspicious.
environmental compliance. I was an environmental. I did environmental compliance. It's like I had to have on the motor pool. I needed to have documents where there are certain. This was so long ago. I haven't done this in like 8 years, so I forget the names of them. But like oil tankers and the place that all the oil tankers being like the place where the POLs are, the liquids, the coolants, and all transmission fluid, things like that, as well as the refrigerants. All of these different hazardous materials are stored differently, and all of these devices have certain maintenance schedules that I have to fill out. And like some of them are weekly, some of them are daily, some of them are monthly, some of them have weekly and monthly. But it's like if I wasn't doing those things and annotating that I was doing those things, it would be a major problem. And that's, to me, very similar here. It's like this is the work that they decided needs to get done in order to adequately protect the site at a base level before anything else, before any exacerbating circumstances are added in. So if this stuff isn't happening, it needs to happen now, and it needs to be the priority. I don't think that there should be any more excavations done. I don't think there should be visitors allowed at the site at all until all of these standards requested from UNESCO are in here, because this site is that important. I would love to see the site excavated fully at some point when it can be done safely without damaging the site and getting all of the information that it can get out of it. And I would love to see all those T-pillars, but it has to be done in a way that doesn't hurt the site. And without these documents, then I don't know how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, because I think that most of us on this side would agree with that. It's just like, look how far out of compliance they are, and just stop everything. Get your shit straight.
Yeah.
And then get back to work, and maybe you won't have the public breathing down your neck. I mean, they really want to put us all in this category, but we are the public. We're the ones going to these sites, seeing them, promoting them, encouraging people to go visit sites, travel, explore ideas, do these things. And so, because they really like to say that there's just like this clickbaity, motive behind making videos and stuff, but that's not true. None of us would be doing this if we didn't care.
Dude, listen, anthropology, archaeology are not high-paying keywords on YouTube. Like, I have a finance background. I could make a lot more money talking about other stuff. I want to talk about this stuff. I've committed my entire life to it. It's crazy. I worked in public history, did an archaeological field school. I have degrees in history and anthropology. I volunteered with the Connecticut State Archaeologist Office for years. Like, the idea that me or you, the similar, even longer background looking into this shit, the idea that anyone can look at what we're doing, and right now, even specifically for this, I've been reading the entire goddamn site management plan. I don't think anyone else has done that even. So like, the idea that our commitment and our like legitimate passion can be excused as grifting is it's ridiculous on its
making
face.
money for content.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for the money part.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in it for the money. Yeah, I mean, you can use that with anything, right?
I don't think people realize what it takes to actually make money on YouTube. So it's not, I mean, I think people will be shocked at what I've invested into making this my life, and I'm not paying bills from YouTube. So it's like,
dude, I don't know when I'll be cash flow positive with like the tens of thousands of dollars I put into all this shit.
Right.
Like maybe 2028, if I start, I've been making a lot of content, which that'll make it not happen ever. So, this is not easy. This is not like, this is not
there's only one group of people that are getting paid for pursuing their career in archaeology, guaranteed, and that's archaeologists. So to be able to say that they're not doing it for the money is ridiculous. They're the ones that are doing it for the money.
And I did archaeology free.
I don't see any of these archaeologists take.
Office.
What's that?
I mean, I like they do archaeology, they get paid for it. I volunteered for years for free. I wasn't getting paid when I did archaeology. I was just there doing it because I wanted to.
And if I go visit a place on the other side of the world or go document something or whatever, that's all out of my pocket. If I make a video out of it and put it up and it does well, that's great. But you know, I don't have 1 million followers. We're not, you know, paying mortgages over here off YouTube. So, you know, but they are.
Literally,
they're not going to places unless they're getting paid to do it. So there's only one group that's profiting off of this. You know, it's
yeah, almost anybody else is funded in some other way through self-funding, like from other lines of work. I mean, that's how I fund my shit. It's not, I don't, like I do make money from YouTube and from Twitter, and I appreciate, you know, donations and Patreon from people, but it's not, I like my LLC is in the red and it will be for years. Like, and eventually I hope to make like decent money to just continue doing it, but that's all it is. It's not like I'm going to get rich from making archaeology content.
Well, and I don't think like when people are younger and they're just starting out and choosing their degrees in their early 20s, like probably very few people are saying I'm going to get into archaeology because of the money. But I 100% would say that it starts with a passion for archaeology and the history. But once you get to the upper levels of like, you know, being a tenured professor and writing books and, you know, the money does there is, I don't know, just to play devil's advocate, but
well, the baseline for an archaeologist that has a PhD and is employed as an archaeologist is a lot higher than the baseline for a archaeology alternative, whatever YouTuber
content creator. Yeah.
The ceiling is about the same. Like a top professor after a long career, as well as like the largest people in the space will be making a very, very good salary, or not salary, but pay. But the regular people like us, and we're the people who are actually making money on it. Whereas there are plenty of people who don't make any money on it and they still do it, but we're at least making some money, but not as much as a full-time job as an archaeologist would, and probably working more.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever worked more in my life for less than when I started doing something that I was passionate about, which was this and traveling.
Yeah.
So
I could be doing environmental compliance like I used to, and I'd be making more money, and I would have less stress. And I wouldn't have to go on Twitter and see some dumb archaeologist's face questioning my integrity because I read a document.
Yeah, I'm starting to get messages on people on X, just, you know, from being shared in on posts, and yeah, they're real. I'm like, I'm just a girl.
What do you think about what I set it aside? Hold on one second.
I'm not even a student archaeologist. I'm not even qualified to say that. I'm just a girl.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just a person.
Past Politics put this up earlier. What do you think about this?
Just look at what Tues Clark did to Ben Van Kerkwyk today. Some of the archaeologists are very malicious. I don't know what happened there. I would love to have that expanded on.
So she put him on blast for going to a step pyramid there in Egypt and holding up something. He picked something up and held it up and took a picture.
Who is Tues Clark?
She's an archaeologist, and she put him on blast and tagged the Egypt Ministry of Culture. Am I getting that right? Basically in an attempt to basically just get him banned from sites and stuff. Now, Ben is a boss, and is so non-confrontational, and is he's just a great dude to everybody. So this is just there are no rules with them. You know, they're trying to get. And by the way, if you've been to Egypt, It's great to saw you was. So
It's like
if
jail.
you've been
Straight
to
to jail.
Egypt, you know that it's encouraged there. You could do literally anything. Not that you should, but you can do literally anything that you want in Egypt for money, right? And it's encouraged on location at sites. Everywhere you go, there's somebody, a guy on site going, do you want to go back here and look at this special thing? Give me money. You know, it's like, do you want to hold this? Give me money. Do you want to step under this railing and come over here? You can do all of that for money.
Right.
But it just shows the level of like maliciousness there today. I'd go check it out if I were you later. You'll see. It's just so ugly. What that is about. And I think somebody else put in chat earlier that she's probably going to regret that. And I agree with that. She's probably going to regret doing that. Because I think the community is starting to get sick of it.
Which community?
Our community is it's pushing back. The alternative history community is pushing back pretty hard.
Yeah. I would hate to imagine what would happen if we actually started doing all the things that they accuse us of doing.
Yep. Where'd you go?
We don't. I'm here. I gotta switch it. Sorry, 1 second. But I'm still here.
So Paul posted today, Past Politics posted today on X where he showed she posted a picture of some of her friends appearing to touch a monument in the Egyptian museum. So she's guilty of the same thing she accuses Ben of doing.
Woohoo! Yeah, you better make sure there's no skeletons in your closet before you start doing stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. And Paul's been
the internet lives forever.
Past Politics has been freaking amazing. I love watching his stuff.
Oh, he's the best. I wish he would, I know he has stuff to worry about because they'll go out because, I'm not a PhD archaeologist. Sometimes I describe myself as an archaeologist because by the standards of Flint Dibble, he called a guy, I forget his name. He graduated with a degree in environmental science, but he did an archaeological field school during COVID. So there wasn't even an excavation aspect of it. So he hasn't even been on an excavation as of when that was. But Flint was willing to call him an archaeologist. So if a guy who just goes to an archaeological field school, which is like a 6-week thing, by the way, is an archaeologist, then me, who also has an archaeology degree or anthropology degree and an archaeological field school, and I volunteered a bunch with Connecticut State archaeologists, I guess by Flint Dibble standards, that makes me an archaeologist. So, but it's my understanding that Paul is still in academia, and there are people that are trying to find out who he is and threaten him and threaten his job. And they view it all as justified because they lack basic morals and human decency.
Yeah. Yeah. They want to.
The people that specifically do that, to be clear, not
they celebrate if they can ruin somebody. Yeah. Show me where.
Except Frog. Show me where Ben touched you. That got me. That's good.
Dude, thank you for sharing all this with us tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, and thank you for bringing your sweet kitten.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite.
Yeah. Cute.
All right. Tell us the name again one more time, because
Magdalene Teresa. But
Maggie. Teresa. Maggie. I love it. I think tonight was very important for people to see, a lot of the details of these reports for the last handful of years up plus, and understand, what's going on out there at Gobekli Tepe if they're not getting the whole story, because it's more involved than I think people really understand.
Yeah.
Sammy, did you freeze, or are you just really happy?
Did I freeze? Can you hear me?
Sammy.
Oh, no, she is. She's totally frozen.
I'm gonna take her off screen, her frozen face off screen until she pops back in. Yeah, it's really important for people to understand exactly what's going on. And I know the details can kind of feel for some people like you're slogging through a bunch of stuff, but it's necessary to understand, what's going on, how it's being handled, all these different things, all the details, they're important. And so.
And I like to put it in a format that is easy for people to understand. That's kind of the whole idea,
you going to be how are you going to be sharing this on your platform? You said that you're reading through the documents, so people can go do that with you.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a live stream to finish off reading the site management plan. So I'm going to finish reading that entire thing because I said that I would, even though people don't. There are a few people who have reached out to me specifically who are interested in that.
Yeah.
So I said I would do it, so I'm going to continue doing that. But ultimately, that's just the site management plan. After that, beyond that, I will be sharing my findings in full from all of the sites and trying to share the most important details that I found in a standalone YouTube video. That's the plan right now. And I think I have most of like the specifics that I need so far.
Excellent. So let's your channel's just Illegitimate Scholar. I was going to say we could bring it up, but
oh yeah,
bring up your channel and show everybody so they can come over there and get you some.
Sure.
Get our chat. Let's drop it in chat too.
And I'll send a thing in the.
It's in the video description.
Oh, you're doing it. Okay. Yeah. In the video description, and you can also. I'm going to send a little comment as well. You can just click on my name.
So you guys just
Hi.
that link we dropped in the comments there. Go over there and subscribe to Sam and his channel. Show him some love. Boom.
Wait, you weren't subscribed?
Yes, I was. Totally.
Oh, I thought you just clicked it.
And
you did.
And then where can we find you on the other platforms? This is your main platform, right?
Twitter's my main platform mostly. I'm trying to do more on YouTube, but yeah, ill_scholar on Twitter.
Perfect.
Yeah, and the best stuff, I have an interview there with Michael Button. I happened to interview him right before he went on Joe Rogan, which was just lucky. But I also have some just vicious takedowns of Flint Dibble. Not vicious in the sense that I'm vicious, but vicious in the sense that Flint Dibble didn't stand a chance. It's like, you know, JV soccer team facing like Brazil's national team. It's just not going to work. You just don't have the chops, Flint Dibble. That's why you're scared of me. That's why you had me blocked. That's why you only talk crap about me as a person and you don't reckon with my information. And that's why I call you out on every single podcast that I do, because you, Flint Dibble, don't know what the hell you're talking about in almost anything that you ran your lips about. And I've proven it in videos, and they're there on my channel to see.
Would you sit and debate him?
I have had an open offer to not only Flint Dibble to debate the information and its truth, but also anybody else who would like to take Flint Dibble's positions against me. I will debate anybody live at any time of day. I've interviewed people in Uzbekistan. I've interviewed people in Australia. I can be awake in the middle of the night if you need me to. If you'll give me at least an hour for a live discussion, unedited, we'll just be there talking. Neither of us can screw each other over. We're just going to be talking about the stuff. You think you could defend Flint Dibble's positions? Then do it. You probably, if you're listening to this and you're angry, you will probably not do that, and you will just talk crap in my comments like everyone always does, because you know that you can't. And that's why no one has accepted my offer, and that's why the few people who have accepted my offer have been kind of out of their minds, including one guy who was trying to argue. He agreed to do the debate and support Flint Dibble's position, and then he wanted to argue about why the ice ages were not real. And I don't know what to do with that. But yeah, I'll debate anybody against Flint Dibble's evidence. Flint Dibble's evidence was wrong. He came on Joe Rogan and he got his own field entirely wrong, and he's not reckoning with the information because it would destroy his reputation, because he is essentially a fraud who talked out of his ass on the largest platform the world has ever seen. And you can't do that, Flint. And that's why you run from me and you only talk personal crap, because you know you can't do that, and you know what you did, and you know you're wrong.
I love
what
this.
is why
what is at some point?
What is the purpose of blocking people? Is it so that they don't see you, or so that you don't see them? So they don't see
Flint Dibble.
So you don't see their content.
I don't know. I mean, people block people for a different reason. Flint Dibble blocked me because, you know, he's a pussy. But sorry. But there's many reasons why you would.
It's image control for these guys.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Flint blocks so many people. He blocks almost anybody. And then every time I see his comment section, there's always 10 more people like talking crap to him that don't even follow me. So like, where are they coming from? It's like people come out of the woodwork who see Flint Dibble and just naturally think that his weird phallus obsessed person is worthy of criticism, which he is. He's a ridiculous person. And he is obsessed with phalluses, and it's very
Yeah,
strange.
it's weird. That is weird.
He is very obsessed with phalluses. Makes a lot of jokes about them. Talks about them all the time. One of the first things he brought up on Joe Rogan. And it is my opinion that Flint Dibble is also a deranged pervert based on some of the posts. I did a thread about Flint Dibble's obsession with phalluses, and it honestly made me uncomfortable. I do not like it. I'm not interested. I don't think it's interesting. I don't think your smut and your penises, I don't think they're cool, Flint. And I don't think anyone else does either. I think you're a creep.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty creepy.
It is weird.
You should check out my thread on Flint Dibble is completely obsessed.
I saw the phallus one, and I thought that was just epic.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Yeah.
It's so annoying that he's just become like, why did Joe have him on? Why did he
I think
the person that he is? Stupid.
Yes. Joe had him on because he was being gracious, and now Flint just complains about it, and he's entitled, and he thinks he should be allowed to come back on and talks about how Joe slandered him and all this crap, and Graham slandered him and all this crap. But no, it's just, you know, you want to pull up this image here? We don't have to if you want to get off, but this is
pull it up.
Oh. Yeah. Video from Flint Dibble, top 6 penis bones in archaeology. What museum is complete without a quick phallus pic?
Dick pic.
Mating mute swans are and were found in Greece. The myth of Leda doesn't need to be one of duck-like grape and can be seen as a steamy story of swan-like romance, even if under false pretenses. That is... I mean, I can't even say the words because it's not allowed on YouTube, but like that is him saying even under false pretenses in response to intercourse. That's him. I know it's an image, but that's a crazy thing to say. I don't know if he thought that this was like an okay joke to make. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I was just going to say that's big of a stretch that he is kind of
worst sense of humor.
He's like excusing assault of the, you know, the grape. It's grape. He's excusing grape. That's what that is. Under false pretenses is grape. And that's what he's saying is that. It's crazy. Wait, Dibble then made a video about Sam's dog phallus thread? Did he do that? I didn't know that. This is
a weirdo.
I censored this myself. This is a man anally penetrating a goat. For some reason. Just more smut.
Dude.
A dog bone of his member in a Snickers bar. That's what he was thinking about on Halloween.
What the heck? I want to find someone that went to high school with him. And just be like, what was this guy like in high school? Who was he?
Yeah, this is really odd.
Is he real? Is he a real person?
Obligatory phallus pics. He wrote a little fake dialogue where the member bone was talking. So that's new.
I think I said this before, but I really think he's an actual energy vampire. Like from that show, What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I love
like the whole thing is a bit. He's literally just doing it to feed off of people's energy. He's not even real. I like to imagine that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. This is him. This is a GIF of an actual duck member. Who does that, dude? I obviously didn't share the actual image because it literally was a very graphic image of a duck's thing. Yeah, energy vampire.
This is creepy, man.
It is
so creepy.
It's still going. You're on. This is your thread.
These are some of them. I just collected these for a thread. There's more than this. It's all sodomy and bestiality and dog member bones. It's crazy. It's disgusting and crazy.
What the heck?
People have always liked
Someone needs to search
SEX,
his hard drives.
and we have thousands of years of smutty trash to prove it. You know, the first thing on Joe Rogan he shared was literal Greek smut.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He just
Oy
loves
vey.
bestiality. Yeah. Oh, that's what I said at the end of the thread. Someone check this guy's hard drive.
That's so funny. Jinx.
Yeah. No, I mean the guy's an absolute creep.
He even weirded Joe out when he did that. Yeah, I bet.
He said like, "Oh, this is interesting." It's like, no, dude, the shipwrecks and the theories and the old stories and the art, it's already interesting enough. The stuff that he is interested in with the bones and all this other stuff, that's not interesting. That's gross. It's disgusting. And nobody, yeah, it's Joe was still trying to be polite at that point, but crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
Sorry if you didn't want that to be.
No, I think it's great.
I won't let Flint Dibble get you.
Protect the kittens.
Protect
the dogs.
Oh yeah. Good grief. Yeah, that's
Goodness.
a lot.
Especially the male ones.
And so that was just, I mean, you said there's more, but
there was too many for me to get all of them for that thread. The thread was already long enough. It was just more and more of the same.
Yeah, what a finale.
I mean, it's Halloween and he's thinking about dog member bones.
Dude.
Who does that? It's like, oh, look, it's a candy bar. What would happen if there was a dog's genital bone in it? Let's do that.
That's straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Believe it or not, jail.
Jail.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You threatened
really
about putting animal bones in kids' candy? That's straight to jail.
Yeah.
That's
really weird stuff. Ow.
really weird.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm still listening, but I'm just stuck.
Oh, dude. Well,
anything else? I don't know how long you normally go here.
Oh, yeah. I'll let you do it. I almost started doing it, Sammy.
I don't know. We got maybe give the chat a couple. Do we have any last questions for the chat? I know we'll have to give it a second because we are
talking about
the video lags, so it takes a second. Because I don't think we have anything saved. But if we want to get any super chats or just any questions, last minute things. Oh, yeah. Thank you, B-Buster. You're the best.
You are.
We love the dogs.
Hold on. You get an intense applause. That's the description. Don't we have a better one? This is the better one. Here you go, B-Buster.
A cheer and
cheering and applause. Thank you.
Thank you. I would have been more active in the chat from my account as well, but my internet provider has been on and off. That's why I've been disappearing from the screen. So
yeah, you've been ghosting in and out a bit.
I know, it's apparently the whole neighborhood. It's a service provider issue.
Oh,
so I didn't want to like put too much pressure. I don't want to have too many screens open on my internet.
There's a question. Well, there's what's the kitty's name? Maggie or Magdalene Teresa, but Maggie. Someone asked, when is the due date on the site plan? January of 2022. The site management plan was due 4 years ago. Yeah. Per Turkish law, UNESCO they didn't give a date, but they've been asking for it for 7 years. Wait. 8 years.
8 now, right?
Almost 8 years. Yeah, like 7 years. I think 4 months. I think it was May 2018. So yeah, almost 8. round up to 8.
Well, man, thank you so much for coming on.
So cute.
It's good to see you
Can
again.
Sam cover what happened to Umut? Sorry, Rue was bringing this up, dude. Unfortunately I don't know enough of the specifics to know what happened, but Umut, I'm sorry, I actually don't know how to pronounce his name, but he is a Turkish mutual of ours who of mine and of Rue's as well, who has been talking about this stuff. So I don't know exactly, Rue, what happened. I don't know enough to talk about it, but he is a guy that people should be aware of, and he's a good dude, and he's a friend. Sorry, I couldn't give more.
Who's going to do it? Can someone please text Flint to join the panel? Who's got his number?
Yeah, let's go, Flint. Anytime.
Am I the
I'm ready
last
to
one
make
not
you right
blocked?
now. I don't care.
Probably after this episode, I'll be blocked. Making my way into the inner circles.
It's not hard to do.
I think your mic is muted, Mike.
You should go look right now. Go see if you're blocked.
I'll have to grab my iPad.
You might be pre-blocked.
I could look on here.
Yeah, I bet you're pre-blocked. I guarantee you're probably pre-blocked because you're doing this show.
Let's see.
Oh my gosh.
Flint Dibby. Also, let's see. Rue. We started out with the excavation of Gobekli Tepe, and we finished with Dipple's fixation on dog parts. Was it worth it?
Yes.
Of course.
Should the site be classified as a Somalian daycare? Probably be easier to get stuff than it was. It's hilarious.
I'm not blocked.
Yes. Give it time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will be. You'll be pre-blocked. Or you can just leave a comment. You'll be blocked instantly.
Yeah. I've had people that tell me they didn't even like say anything remotely antagonistic to him and they got blocked.
Yeah, you get blocked by association.
Yeah.
If you follow Jimmy or you or Dan.
I follow all you guys. We'll see.
He'd have to see.
I'm usually the mythical voice in the background. I'm just now starting to show my face.
Good.
So,
All right.
Well, yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming on, man. Good to see you
thank
again.
you so
Thanks
much.
for doing all the work involved in making this happen.
It is.
Yeah, there's lots of work that you put in.
Yep.
It's good to see something that in concrete evidence is like, look, we're right about being concerned about this. Like, we're not the only ones.
Yeah. There's concerning things in the information I shared
legitimate.
tonight.
Yeah.
Anybody who disagrees that the information I shared was concerning, I would love to hear their explanation of why it's not concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. But they won't engage other than to be malicious, unfortunately. I mean, there's some out there, a few, but you can only go so far. So, all right, man. I look forward to seeing more of your posts on X, and maybe I'll tune into that to your reading. You gotta let me know when you get started on the rest.
Right, dude. It's real boring. I just gotta get through it.
I'll put it on when I'm trying to go to sleep.
I'm looking forward to the cat photos.
Oh, I spent an hour this morning switching out lenses on my camera and taking different pictures. I got a bunch of fisheye pictures. I'm gonna download those right now.
Did you do a little like photo shoot setup? Put some cute little bows.
No, it was just like around. I just got the no, it's an absolute mess in here too because I have like stuff everywhere for the kitten. But yeah, I'll send them to you on Twitter.
Heck yeah. All right.
My favorite. All right,
well,
buddy.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye, kitty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ew.
I did it again. The applaud there.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us. This was long. This is good. This is so interesting and informative.
Thank you for that. I think we've had
Yeah, that's
some
amazing.
guests on since we
Yeah.
started.
Yeah. Oh, I also really want to shout out because it's at the top of my Twitter feed right now. For people to go watch Will from Incredible History, his latest video, and all the work that he put into exposing the Nazca mummies hoax.
Yep.
I had previously, watched Jesse and Michael's stuff on it, and from that angle, it's like so convincing.
Yeah.
But he did, that video that Will just put out was like, it's so good and pretty going to be probably pretty controversial. So probably any love that's sent his way and support will be good. But I think he did a good job.
Yeah, good to support Will right now. Because there's a lot of people that are really get ugly about that. It's almost like a belief system in the mummies. So if he's another, it's so weird. Some of the communities, they're just so, this is right and you're wrong no matter what. So, but Will does his work and he does his research. Yeah. So good, man. Good stream. I was really happy to learn all that, like this is stuff I've been really looking forward to learning about, having been to Gobekli Tepe and being involved in some of this stuff, the back and forth. So, and I think it's important, like we were talking about, for people to understand.
Yeah. Sorry, we're both so sleepy.
I know.
Did your coffee wake you up?
It did. A little bit. Yeah. I'm here.
I'm just like,
oh, I put down a big one.
Oh.
A whole thing of coffee. Pre-show.
Barely touched mine. It's too late now, though. It's okay.
Stay up late anyways.
Sometimes.
Well, thanks everyone so much for tuning in. Another week.
Yay.
And great guest. Thank you to Sam for coming in here and doing all that work and dropping all that knowledge on us. I was locked in while he was sharing all that information. And I'm glad that it's out there for the public to be able to see and hear and understand. I think it gives a better perspective of what's going on there at the site, Gobekli Tepe. And man, I hope things get better out there.
Yeah. Probably won't.
Yeah.
It'll be up and down. That's life.
That's
So,
it is what it is.
You're still swimming along on a reality that doesn't make sense. And this is where I get existential. So let's call it a night.
Let's call it a night. All right. Thanks, guys, so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.